Carnalitas, carnalitos, sean bienvenidos una vez más, amigos, con su amigo Eric en esta transmisión de día domingo. Ahí estuvimos ausentes porque salimos a pasear, salimos en un viajecillo pequeño, cortillo, pero ya estamos aquí de regreso, carnalitos, transmitiendo para todos ustedes. El día de hoy les tenemos una sorpresita, va a haber estreno en el canal, así que estén muy al pendiente. Vamos a manquear un ratito porque recuerden que tenemos que completar el pase de batalla de Fortnite, así que vamos a estar jugando un poquito de Fortnite. Y después de eso vamos a estar transmitiendo que les gusta, como una hora y media. Y después vamos a transmitir el juego que les dije, el estreno que tenemos para cada uno de ustedes, canales. Así que sean bienvenidos una vez más con su amigo Eric. Me pueden encontrar aquí en Twitch como El Pollo 2067 y en YouTube como El Pollo 0518. Ya lo saben, suscríbanse, compartan, déjenme sus comentarios, que eso me ayuda bastante a seguir generando contenido y sobre todo para seguir sabiendo qué es lo que les gusta a cada uno de ustedes, carnalitos. Pues bueno, sin más por el momento, hacemos nuestro cambio de pantalla, nuestra prueba de audio y comenzamos, amigos. Bienvenidos.
Can I help you?
Good evening, this is Kate Brooks. I'm not sure if you remember me. A few weeks ago, we talked about an article I'm working on. It's about your wife. I dropped by last Friday to speak to you, but you weren't working at the time. I asked the security guard to pass on a note for me. I would like us to discuss the topic of...
I thought I had made it painfully obvious for the last time. No! Please don't call me again and stop inquiring about my wife. Damn journalists. They don't let me work. God damn it.
Yo creo que voy a quitar
I'm not in the best
overlay
frame of
para
mind to record a lecture for my students now.
para que se vea el diálogo. Y de PC Game Audio, puntos de canal, micro. Ok, a ver. Vamos a darle ahí para ver si no se escucha doble. A ver si se escucha ahí. Es que no habíamos hecho pruebas, pero espero que no se escuche doble ahí. Más bien se había dejado de escuchar, pero ya se debe escuchar. A ver. Leer. Hola, soy Kate Brooks, reportera del New Orleans Weekly. No he podido encontrarlo en casa. Empiezo a sospechar que me evita, señor Hammond. En fin, como sabe, nos gustaría escribir un artículo para recordar los logros de su esposa. Estaríamos encantados de hablar con usted al respecto. Le dejo mi tarjeta de visita junto con esta nota. Permítame que le llame esta tarde. Espero encontrarlo en casa en la oficina.
Stephen didn't clean up after himself again. He won't be needed for the next few months. Wednesday. It's not my favorite day, although it's certainly better than Monday. I guess it was in another life.
Ha de ser su esposa o alguien, ¿no? Ok.
Awful. It would be good to finally repair the coffee machine. Awful. It would be good to finally repair the coffee machine.
Oh fuck, estoy muy apretado ahorita. A ver, déjenme acomodo todo aquí. Mi libretita a la mano. Nos recorremos y nos metemos más al juego. Ahí está. Busca las pastillas en el baño. Este no es el baño. Bathroom. ¿Qué se escucha? Que algo está abierto. ¿Por qué no hay luz? No puede ser que esta sea toda la luz que existe. Ya hay pastillas.
Okay, time to pull myself together
A ver qué
and get back to work.
Cepillo. Ok. Vamos al trabajo.
I need to set the camera first.
Coge la cámara del almacén. El almacén debe ser el que está acá. Cámara. Cámara.
Now remember, Jack, don't forget, hit the record button this time.
Sala de dirección.
Hopefully the new tripod is going to hold up.
Ok. Esto está muy raro. Acomodo la cámara más abajo. En este.
Now, I just have to get everything in frame.
Ok. Encuadra el cadáver.
This should be fine. November 20th, 1991. Time, 8:43 p.m. Recording for medical students from the University of Missouri. This autopsy is conducted by Jack Hanman. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the autopsy room. Today, you will have the dubious pleasure of following a full autopsy, step by step. For those of you who have already performed your first autopsy, this will refresh your basic knowledge. In turn, for those whose knowledge is only theoretical, I advise not to watch this after a meal.
Ok. La Polaroid del cajón del escritorio. Ok.
Aha! There you are. I knew it was here somewhere. As I mentioned at the beginning, before we begin the internal examination, we need to document the cadaver and the condition it arrived in. We begin with a full body photo. Try and stick to the top-down rule, but this is not always possible. Let's keep in mind it's all about the legibility, not
Oye,
the
al
perfect
otro
frame.
menso. Ódiame más. No, les digo que van a estar insoportables. Ok, tenemos una foto del difunto.
Voila! Now we move on to the next step, looking for traces. Take your time. Look at the corpse from different sides, from different angles, up close, and from a distance. You're looking for anything out of the ordinary.
Cámara. Aquí se va a tomar. Sí, una cicatriz.
Poorly healed wound.
Una
Looks
cuchillada.
old. I'll take a closer look later.
Otro. Para hacer 16 veces más. Chis. ¿Dónde más? Sus patas.
Some wounds in the feet and signs of frostbite, probably because the subject's shoes were too small.
Tenía callos. Pero aquí trae un chingazo.
That's something interesting. it will be necessary to check whether this injury was severe enough to cause damage to the brain.
Ok. Falta otra. Aquí está.
Hardened hands, worn out by physical work, and frostbite.
Ok.
In a moment, we will check which of our initial observations will be worthy of further consideration. But before we get to that, I need to write down some basic data.
¿Dónde está donde tengo que indicar? Cuelga las fotos en el tablón de fotos. ¿Dónde está el tablón de fotos? Ok. Cabeza, patas, stomach, hands. ¿De qué creen que haya colgado los tenis? Lleva a cabo la autopsia.
Personal information. The deceased was unclothed.
Así es, momento de
Date.
ser carniceros.
Okay, as you can see,
Copias
I note
Chávez.
everything down on previously prepared forms. Every pathologist must keep a detailed record of every step of the autopsy. This not only allows you to track the procedure, but also collates the results together, upon which you may back up your conclusions. So, enough of the boring prep. Let's begin by taking a closer look at the spots I photographed earlier.
Que esto no
For
se está
this,
viendo. A ver,
you're
esperen,
going to need a
esperen. Tiempo. Vamos a poner pausa tantito porque se está viendo muy pequeño. A ver, captura de video. Oh, turururu. Good Mortis.
Well, we take our deceased by the hand, gradually re-raise it.
Qué bolas con esto. Ay. ¿Qué es aquí?
Now let it go. As you can see, the hand falls loose. What's the conclusion? Death must have occurred more than 72 hours ago. The police information appears correct.
Ok, no se equivocaron. Los policías.
Head trauma seems the most promising, so we'll start there. For this, I need an oscillating saw.
Ok, aquí empieza esto.
The cut is made from ear to ear.
Ah, no seas.
After which, we remove the skin and the top of the skull.
Un taquito.
After the basic examination, we can see that the brain's cerebral gyri in both hemispheres are symmetric. The brain looks good. Let's take a cross-section. Some pathologists prefer to examine organs without removing them. However, for me, it's much more convenient to examine them on a board, which we'll do now.
Ok. ¿Dónde está? Disecciona el cerebro. Aquí está el cerebro.
Holding a long, narrow blade knife in the dominant hand, we slowly cut the cranial nerves on both sides, all the time pulling the brain towards us.
Oh, este güey se está mareando. ¿Quieren un filetito?
So far, so good. The hematoma seems to have had no effect on the brain.
Y que si tienes tu mod con tu playera de la América, Rudy, ¿no te da pena? Toma la autopsia.
We can rule the fatal accident out as well.
Descarta la caída de la como posible causa de muerte. Ok, esta está tachada.
Brain is in good condition,
cerebro estaba
so we
bien.
have no choice but to proceed to the internal examination of the other organs.
Okay.
I grab a scalpel from my kit.
El bisturí.
The incision should be in the shape of a letter Y.
Ok, esta está muy...
We use a deep cut to reach all the way to the ribs and to penetrate the abdominal wall.
¿Hasta los Winnies?
Right. Now we peel back and separate the skin.
Oh, joder. Esta me costó un trabajo la vez pasada. Esta.
Now, we need to remove the ribs. We'll need the loppers for this.
Déjame fumo mi chamorro. En medio de los fifos. No lo vamos a abrir, Rudy. Lo vamos a eliminar ese mensaje. Ese mensaje lo vamos a dar como que jamás llegó. A ver. Ok. Selecciona el costótomo. Quitemos las costillas. Oye. ¿Por qué desapareció un chat? Ah, no. A ver. Costótomo. Y vamos a cortar esto de aquí.
Quite a satisfying crunch, for some anyway. After removing the cartilage tissue, we instantly notice two things. Firstly, there is no congestion of the internal organs. This means that although the deceased was hypothermic, we can see widespread black and tarry deposits caused by smoking. Despite the tragic condition of the lungs, they are not the cause of death. Alice smoked too. It didn't kill her, but... what was I talking about? Lungs. Yes. Advanced inflammation.
Entonces, era fumador y borracho. Y le iba a la América, parte.
What now? The syringe. Now's a good time to collect some samples.
Muestras de sangre, a ver. Jeringa.
Specifically 3. From the eye, the heart, and the bladder. I'm interested to see the concentration of alcohol in the body. 5 milliliters from the left ventricle should do it.
Ok. ¿Del ojo?
Vitreous humor analysis is very useful in indicating long-term alcohol abuse. Now from the bladder, we draw about 10 milliliters of fluid. Now we take our samples to the centrifuge. But before I do that, I need to find my notebook. My dyscalculia means that I always double-check the settings. Please excuse me while I run and fetch it.
Ok. Ve a la oficina por el cuaderno de los valores necesarios para hacer la función de la centrifugadora. Ok.
Specifically, the heart.
Ok.
We remove the organ and examine it closely.
Vamos a remover ahora el corazón. Deslate, compas.
We look for dark hypoxic areas, clots, or other elements that stand out as abnormal.
Okay.
At first glance, the heart looks fine. The pulmonary trunk and aorta seem to be in good condition. There are no pathological changes that would have contributed to Toby's death.
Es que no se ve. Corazón sano, sin indicaciones de pruebas transversales. Es que esto yo qué.
Now let's take a closer look at the stomach.
El estómago.
Size is normal, healthy.
No sé,
Pink
según
color.
trabajas en una como funeraria, como uno de autopsias, no sé. Pero creo que trae traumas este cuate que murió su esposa. Vamos a realizar una extracción del estómago examinando cada órgano.
And as expected, the stomach has no major external damage. We must now cut it open and inspect inside.
Oh, la vamos a abrir. ¿Cómo no? Sí la cambié. Según yo sí la cambié en ¿cómo se llama? Sí, güey. Sí la cambié en el Twitch. Ok.
We will do it carefully so that its contents do not spill out.
Vamos a ir a hacer unos tacos de pancita, mira. Lo vamos a
We open
cortar.
the stomach along the from the heart to the
Rudy.
end. Oh, I already feel like there's something left inside.
Mira, 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 mira nomás. No más que pulso, perro. Ay. Ve nomás, papá.
Okay, large amount of gas,
no,
small amounts of
guácala de
yellow,
perro.
grayish food content, resembling some kind of meat. Either our deceased hadn't eaten in days, or the bulk of his stomach had already found a way out. Looks like I'll have to find the missing contents.
Entonces no había comido en días desde que murió. Tienes que ir descubriendo de qué murió conforme a las observaciones.
There are two ways here. One is obvious, and the other is... It couldn't have been suffocation, could it? I'll add this to the list and move on to the deceased's neck.
Caída en la congelación de asfixia. ¿Por qué asfixia? El contenido del estómago indica una digestión interrumpida o vómito. Empiezo a realizar el análisis exhaustivo de la tráquea, examinando. ¡No manches! De la tráquea.
At first glance, the trachea looks normal. Same result as with the stomach. The external inspection doesn't tell us anything. This time we'll cut on a tray.
No presenta daños externos, requiere proseguir con la inspección. Ok.
While cutting such a small organ as the trachea, we must make a precise incision. To be able to cut with the very tip of the blade, we must hold the scalpel as we would a pen.
No, hombre, ¿eh?
And after careful examination and deduction, we've got it. A clogged trachea. It's time to summarize the whole thing.
Y seguimos de carniceros.
Based on the report and preliminary documentation, it's safe to assume that the deceased passed out after consumption of alcohol and then fell asleep on his back.
Tráquea llena de contenido estomacal. Entonces se
Then,
desmayó
the
y
gastric
se
contents
asfixia.
refluxed and flooded the airways, causing death.
Entonces,
That's why we don't
asfixia.
forget about the recovery position at dorm parties.
Murió por ahogamiento este compa. Se quedó dormido, se desmayó tras haber ingerido una gran cantidad de alcohol. Su concentración suprimió las señales del cerebro que controlan el reflejo faríngeo, lo que provocó el atragantamiento. Ok. Accidente. Pues sí, eso es un accidente, ¿no?
And now it's all clear. The death was suffocation. Now, signature.
Será una firma, a ver.
The mystery is solved.
¿Qué
But for
bolas?
us, this is not the end. First, the dead body needs to be cleaned up. For this, we will need to close the body and grab the needle. First, we unroll the skin flaps. And then, we sew the deceased back up.
Ok.
I'm
Aguja.
using the baseball stitch technique. This stitching method is very strong and quick to do. Beautiful.
Ah, perro, ¿eh?
Now we say goodbye to the deceased and put them safely in the fridge, ready for the next stage of their journey.
¿Por qué parece eso? No manches. Oh. Ah, sí se mueve. Ay, perro. Es una calaca. Está soñando, bueno, nos vamos a tener que comer unos manguitos.
Christ. Who leaves the window open in the middle of November? So I'd better check the answering machine.
Son de voz.
Hi, Jack. I dropped by a little early today. I left the body with Ridley in the corridor.
Sí.
He wasn't sitting in the locker then, so maybe he'll even throw him into
La
the
estás sacando igual,
room.
nada más que ahorita la captura de pantalla la estoy tomando
How
de este lado.
are you doing?
Que es donde
I
está
mean, it's your
todo
first
el
birthday
tiempo.
without her, and
La carnicería.
this, I still have a hangover, and you know me, I run to the John like the neighbor's fucking dog. You know, today I slipped on his shit again. That fucking furball. He always has to shit next to my car. Anyway, I can't come over in the evening, but we'll catch up on the weekend, okay? Bye. I almost forgot. Charlotte called me this morning. She asked about you, so answer your calls, Jack. This time it's not a reprimand for being late.
That's par for the course. I wonder when this clown will learn to look under his feet. Birthday. I actually forgot it was today. Alice baked me muffins like these every birthday. Okay, joke's over. Apron, gloves, and get to work. I don't understand.
No manches.
Oh man,
Hola, ¿qué?
I remember you. You were on that talent show. What was your name again?
Ahora qué rodillito, macho. No manches, no eres una chava.
Steven laughs at me for recording everything. He says I have a bigger collection of stuff like this than most of the creeps he's caught. November 21st, 1991. Time, 9:13 p.m. The autopsy is conducted by Jack Hanman. Lecture for the Medical University of
Clase
Missouri.
por la Universidad Médica de Missouri.
After yesterday's lecture, you should already know the ins and outs, so today we'll be consolidating our knowledge. So, where do I start? That's right, police folder.
Ok. Ya nos dieron la clase inicial, en teoría ya somos unos expertos, ¿no? Las pruebas.
Ah, yes, Samantha Barker. Now remember, there's probably going to be a lot of chatter about this.
Pensé que era una superestrella.
When questioned, friends admitted that Samantha's last days before losing contact seemed extremely happy and relaxed. She also quit drinking alcohol and mentioned something about rehab. The friend also admits that there was no indication of an impending tragedy.
O sea, según esto ya no bebía y no andaba en malos pasos. A ver.
Found in her own apartment by police patrol. Officers were called by a concerned friend of the deceased, who had been unable to contact Barker for several days.
¿Me encontraron qué? ¿En la sala?
During the interrogation, a friend of the deceased admitted that Samantha never got to grips with the sudden fame that
De acostumbrarse a la fama, entonces. Okay.
After her first album became a commercial success, she was hit with a creative drought. She suffered panic attacks and severe sleep problems. Drugs and medication came into play.
Entonces se drogaba por la fama.
The deceased was found in her own apartment, in a semi-recumbent position on an armchair. Large quantities of alcohol and empty packets of sleeping pills were also found in the apartment. Well, let's see what settled this matter. As you can see, the body is fully clothed. Therefore, before we move on to photographic documentation, we must remove the clothes. This time, we don't have to focus on the clothes too much. However, there are cases where a clothing analysis can lead to the cause of death.
Okay, quítame la ropa.
Okay, now we can continue with the examination. Again, begin by taking photographs of the cadaver. I guarantee that over time it will cease being embarrassing for you.
Resultados incómodos. Esa es una primera, ¿verdad?
First, we photograph the whole body. And now, any suspicious-looking marks or wounds.
Cualquier marca o herida que resulte sospechosa. Oh, no, aquí hay una prueba de que no fue como las
Interesting.
drogas,
Very uneven. We need to investigate this.
Ah, ya con esa prueba, ¿qué más quieres?
Yes, I've seen this many times.
No manches.
You don't get such bruises from a normal contusion.
Los pies.
Well, there's even more here.
Vamos a ver nomás. De este lado. Ah, no manches.
A few we need to look into here.
Esto está raro.
Organs one by one.
Ok, es momento de
So,
abrir.
I'm starting the internal inspection. I dissect the skin of the deceased.
No manches, el borracho estaba más entero. Estaba más gordo. Ya, ¿no? Está.
And I proceed to deflect the skin flaps. Compared with yesterday's
Oh,
body, the
guácala, eso se
deceased
ve
has
bien
only
acá.
trace amounts of adipose tissue. Now for the ribs.
Este es con este.
What do we have here? Or rather, what don't we have? There is
Tenemos-
certainly no sign of internal bleeding.
Aquí está.
Before
el
I
golpe.
disembowel the deceased, I will take samples for toxicological tests to determine the alcohol content in the body. I just need my syringe.
Jeringuilla.
Just to be sure, I'm taking samples from 3 organs:
qué de
the
loco.
eyeball, the heart, and the bladder. Analysis will rule out, or confirm, alcohol poisoning as the cause of death. I'll transfer these to the centrifuge.
¿Por qué del ojo?
My old but trusted centrifuge. Ideal for all the fluid tests I need to perform during an autopsy. My old but ideal for all the fluid tests I need to perform during an autopsy.
Ay, tengo que ir por el cuaderno de valores.
What was it? 70?
No manches.
75? Numbers have never been my strong point. It's probably why I regularly forgot birthdays and anniversaries. I'm lucky Alice always forgave me.
Como allá del 2000. Cuando se filtró la del Valentín Elizalde, güey, ¿te acuerdas? Notas. Esto ya lo sé, compadre. Es que ya. 70, velocidad 70 por 15 kilómetros. Aquí la está poniendo, ¿verdad?
Gently does it with this old thing. Handle with kid gloves.
70 por 15 minutos. ¿Dónde está?
I'm starting the centrifuge. Let's see what results come out. The laboratory is already open, so... Fucking hell! Ridley! Mr. Ridley! The fuses need resetting. Where is he? Fuck it.
Nah, man, no me
I'll
digas
do it
que vamos a
myself.
tener que ir. Office. ¿Dónde era el chingado almacén? No mames, ¿y por qué no parpadea aquí la luz, puñetas? No, es aquí.
First the right, and then the left. And voila.
Joder.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Can't I work in peace?
¿Qué? ¿Qué pasó?
Jack Hammond speaking.
Easy, why so rude?
Steve? Sorry, man. This place is falling apart, and Ridley won't even lift a finger to help. You just can't work here.
Did the centrifuge strip the fuses again?
Yeah, eventually everything's gonna go up in smoke.
Look on the bright side. It's a free cremation with your autopsy.
Jesus, stop it. That shit pisses me off.
Okay, sorry, Jack. Anyway, I'm calling to ask how the autopsy's going. Soon there'll be journalists sniffing around for info, so you best be ready.
I'll whiz through this in a couple of hours. It doesn't look like a complicated case to me. More of a formality. The report will be available in the morning.
Sounds great. Thanks. Phew! How's your head?
Ya casi nos vamos,
Well,
carnal.
my head seems better than yours. On the way to what?
Holy fuck!
What? What's happening?
Quiet!
A 3-car police convoy was involved in an accident near Pete's Bay Bridge while transporting prisoners to Orleans Parish Prison. At the moment, we do not know the exact number of victims or whether any of the convicts escaped. However, the scale of the accident indicates a large number of victims, possibly even fatal ones. Police are on their way to investigate the incident and secure the area. We know that the injured prisoners are on death row. The police were to transport them to their execution, which was to take place tomorrow morning. Many of them are very dangerous criminals. We will report on the matter on an ongoing basis, so stay tuned with us.
What was, Stephen, was Red Pete one of the passengers? He was, wasn't he? What if he survived?
Jack, I have to go. It won't be on site.
What if he survived?
I gotta go. Talk to you later, okay?
Viste el rojo, ¿quién es? ¿Viste el rojo?
Calm down, Jack. Pills. I need my pills.
Oh,
You heard him, Jack.
Pinche ataque de pánico.
A serious accident. Lots of victims. He's definitely dead. Yes. Nothing's going to happen. Christ. I've got to get back to work.
¿Qué diablos? A menos de que sea en el no. A menos de que sea en el otro cuartillo. Vamos a ver. A ver, es en el otro cuarto. Aquí.
All right, let's load this up.
Ahí podrían ir. No. Aquí.
I placed the test tubes in the rack.
Ok. Coloque la pipeta para parar 5 litros de líquido.
Now, just take 5 milliliters from each. Precisely. Next.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Five more.
Ah, perro.
We put the prepared sample into the machine.
Ok, creo que no tener el cromatófago.
Let's see. The results indicate that the deceased did consume alcohol shortly before her death. However, this is not an amount that could cause poisoning leading to death. Just slight inebriation. I can return to the body and continue the rest of the examination.
El hígado. Ese maldito hígado, este.
No lesions. However, it is slightly enlarged. Perhaps it's a slight inflammation or drug-induced damage. It may also be the result of the deposition of substances from drugs. Let's check the weight of the organ.
Ok. Veo un ribeye, por favor.
The weight is 1,300 grams. The liver is enlarged.
Y ahora hacernos un filetito. Yum, yum.
I'll move on to a cross-sectional study. Perhaps the enlargement is the result of early cancerous changes. The blade glides through smoothly. I don't feel like I'm encountering any changes with an unusual structure. No steatosis or cirrhosis. The liver is actually quite clean inside.
Te estoy diciendo que no fue por alcohol, chavo, pero tú estás ahí diciendo que sí. El alcohol ya debe de quedar descartado.
The liver is basically healthy. We already know that the deceased didn't abuse alcohol. The question is, what about drugs or other substances? I move on to the heart.
Corazón. Okay.
Oh. At a
Una
glance, we can see signs of a heart attack. The deceased is definitely too young to have a heart attack due to natural causes. The liver is enlarged, not from alcohol poisoning, and the heart looks like it has collapsed. So, I guess we need to go to the centrifuge and check for these barbiturates.
Músculo cardíaco dañado por tejido cicatricial. Desarrollado. Deberán realizarse pruebas más en el órgano para detectar un posible infarto de miocardio debido a uso de una sobredosis de barbitúricos.
I wonder how she was able to get a hold of these drugs. The last time I saw this kind of... The test showed that the collected blood contained enough barbiturates to cause cardiopulmonary collapse. The question now is whether it was an accident or a deliberate act.
Sobredosis.
I'm proceeding to examine the stomach. Before extraction, I ligate the entire organ to prevent its contents from spilling out. Okay, I'm now cutting out the organ, which will move to the board for dissection.
Vamos a ver qué comió. Es que este sí está.
Normally, the stomach and intestines are full of surprises.
Ay, güey. Es que cada vez que fallas, le tienes que dar su pastilla a este güey para que no se vuelva loco.
Not this time. We see remnants of undigested food and a dense mass of pills. You don't take this many drugs by accident.
Entonces sí se dio de baja. Chale.
Length and width normal. No obvious pathological changes. Undigested drugs found in the stomach of the deceased. The direct cause of death was probably an overdose. I'll check the rest of the organs, and then the nervous system. We'll see how significant the marks on the neck are. For the lungs are normal, no lesions. The victim was probably a smoker, but was unlikely to be in any serious danger. The deceased's intestine is normal, no clear pathological changes. The deceased's trachea is normal, complete patency. No food or fluid. Abdominal cavity checked off. We can check the brain. I make a cut to open the lid of the victim's skull and remove the brain. Brain is normal. No obvious lesions. Alright. I need to dissect it on a board.
Vamos a diseccionar.
Using a knife, I carefully cut through the brain tissue. As expected, the deceased's brain is in excellent condition. No discoloration or changes due to hypoxia. There is still the matter of the marks on the neck. They look superficial, but who knows? Maybe the spinal cord has been severed. I need goggles and a saber saw. I think the goggles were in the desk drawer. Nearly finished with the autopsy. Then you can go home and rest. Fuck! It's jammed! Doesn't anyone do maintenance around here? Damn hatch. Damn red Pete. Again. If only. Forgot this thing was standing here. It would be easier if I put things away properly. Damn student lectures and their fucking props.
Maldita sea. Está muy chillón este güey. Está muy chilletas este güey, honestamente.
Sorry for the short interruption. I hope you all took the opportunity to grab some coffee. And now that I have everything I need, I'll move on to revealing the spinal cord.
No, pues ya está vacío.
Calm down, Jack. Take it easy. Take your pills.
Ta madre, va a tener que tomar las píldoras o no.
If I don't take my pills, then I won't finish this work. If I don't take my pills, then I won't finish this work.
Las pastillas. O sea, estaba agarrando un cuerpo y así se toma las pastillas, carajo.
I can see that the spinal cord was not severed. This shows that apart from the marks around the neck, hanging didn't negatively affect the condition of the deceased. Ladies and gentlemen, almost over. Now, to sum up and tidy away the body. The direct cause of Samantha Barker's death was a heart attack resulting from an overdose of barbiturates.
Sobredosis.
Traces found on the body suggest that the overdose was a deliberate act, following a failed attempt to hang herself. The autopsy found no evidence or genetic materials indicating that death could have been the result of an attack. Third-party involvement must be excluded.
Okay.
Autograph, and we can start sewing.
Está.
In the 1950s and 1960s, the use of barbiturates for suicide was actually quite common. I think it was most talked about after the death of Marilyn Monroe. At home, it was a help and comfort. On death row, a farewell to the convicts. Well, that's the way it goes. It isn't the drug, but the dose that makes the poison. Well, we're done for today. Thank you for your attention. Tiring day. I can feel those hunger pains coming on. I guess I'll have to pick something up along the way.